Okay, in this video we're going to spend some time making the simplest of families, the fixed window. So to do that, let's do new. Out of the families, let's do new. And in here it gives you all the starting points for all the different families. So we're going to go all the way down to the bottom and pick window. And we're going to pick open. So what you have is it gives you the very basics of a window, and the interior and the exterior, and we're looking at it in plan. So let's go to the exterior. And it's giving you a default sill height. It's already giving you some parameters. So for example, your window, I'm going to move this out, has a height of 4 feet. Your default sill height is at 3 feet. And it looks like it's already placed an opening in the wall here. You have your main center line. So let's go back to the floor plan and the reference level. This is where it sets the width of your opening, 3 feet. And what it's doing here is it has a center line of the origin of the family. And it's making sure that any size that you increase with your width increases on that center line. So what that does is if you ever place your window on a wall and then change its width, it doesn't jump sideways. It stays centered where it is and just gets wider or more narrow as you do. So we're going to, well, it's a simple family. There's going to be a lot of parameters we're going to add to it so that we can make just the window that we want. So let's go to the exterior. And I'm going to draw some more reference lines because I need to make a frame in here. So I'm going to go to create reference plane, and I'm going to draw some more reference planes. And what we want to do is have a consistent 2-inch frame around this. So I'm going to draw some dimensions like this. If you ever find that the text is getting too big for what you're drawing, just make the scale a little bit smaller. Now click on one of these dimensions, and what you'll see is a label comes up on your option bar. You have some of the ones that are already made, but we're going to add a new one. And well, there's a lot of complicated things we can really work on in a more complicated family. Let's keep it simple for this test. We're just going to make the window mullion. It's a dimension. Hit OK. So now what we're going to do is select these other ones. And we're going to tell them that I would like them to also be a mullion width. You see I start moving those reference planes. Now that's kind of a strange dimension. So to change that, what these are your family types. And this is what you would see in the project when you're editing this family. So it's just a little window where you can start really testing your family. We're going to make that 2 inches. And you'll see it should adjust everything in here. Good. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the plan view. And I'm going to draw, might not make sense right off the bat, but I'm going to draw 4 reference lines like this. And then I'm going to dimension them. Change your scale to be a lot smaller so you can see all of this. Alright. This one, I'm going to make our glass thickness. Head parameter, glass thickness. This would be our glass offset from the frame. Also, what we want to do is when we click on these, make sure they're locked. This is one, and I'm going to make our glass offset. Actually, I might name that offset glass. And this one should be frame depth. And then what we're going to do is type DI for another dimension. Tab to the face of the wall. And we're going to call this one window inset. Or we can call it offset window. That's how far we sit into the wall thickness. So now we've made a lot of reference planes. So what we're going to do is start to make some extrusions and snap them to these reference planes. So let's go to the exterior view again. Extrusion. I'm just going to draw. You're going to see I'm just going to draw these lines fairly broadly, because what I want to do is make sure I'm snapping them all to the correct reference planes. So to do that now that I have them drawn, use the Align tool, snap on the right reference plane, click and lock. And we're going to do that for all the outer pieces. And now the inner ones. Locking means it won't leave that reference plane. So if that reference plane moves because one of your dimensional parameters moves, this is going with it, whatever the shape we make is. So hit OK. And the next thing we need to do is go to the reference level. Because what happened was, you'll see, while on the elevation this is all drawn correctly, in plan that's not that thick and not in the right spot. So what we're going to do is use the Align tool again, snap to the back of where we want the frame, click there, lock it, snap to the front and lock it. Now our frame is correct. So what we want to do now is draw the glass. So let's go back to the exterior. Same thing, we're going to create a extrusion. I'm going to show you another little trick. Sometimes if you draw it right where it needs to be, and it shows you all these locks, that means it is going to lock to the reference planes, or at least that other shape that's already locked to the reference plane. So I'm going to make sure these all lock. And that's our window, our glass. So if we hit the check mark, the glass is in there. It's not in the right spot in plan. So we're going to jump back to the reference level. Sometimes it's easier to click on this and just move it away from everything else so you can see its edges. And then use the Align tool again. Go to the back of the glass. And do the front of the glass. Oops. I just clicked. Type AL for Align. Click on the reference plane. Lock that. So now, if you look at it in 3D, let's see. There's our little window. It's sticking out of the back of the wall right now, but we just have to get our parameters right. So to get your parameters right, let's come here to our type properties. And in here, we're going to say our frame depth is something more like 4.5 inches. We're going to say Our offset of glass is probably 1 inch. Our window is probably only 3 inches in from the face of the window, of the wall. And hit OK. And it moved, which is good. If you have any problems with your parameters, that's normally where it will show you errors. And what we can do is call that one window type. So we're going to make a new type. And this is a 3 foot by 4 foot window. And you'll see now you can make new types. What if we make a 4 foot by 4 foot window? Okay. And now for the 4 foot by 4 foot one, you just need to change your width. Hit apply. And now you'll see you can toggle between your different window sizes, just like some of the standard Revit families. You can make changes to any of these items. You can make your 4 foot by 4 foot window have a thicker mullion because perhaps it's spanning farther and needs to be thicker. You can do all of that. The last thing we want to do is, if we hit OK, if I go and check my shaded render, you'll see that the materials are all generic. So while we made all dimensional parameters, there's other parameters we can make for this family, including materials, that would let us define what this material looks like once it's put into our main file. So in this case, for the material, if you click this gray box next to it, you can add material parameters. So in this is the mullion material. So we're going to say add parameter. You'll see down here now it says material and finishes instead of dimensions. And I'm going to say mullion. And we'll do the same thing with the glass. Click on the glass. Its properties. Click on the gray box next to the material. Add parameter. Say mullion. I'm sorry. Say glass. And what that means is now you can define that material in the project. So in the project, this would be your parameters. And you'll see you have glass by category, mullion by category. When you get into your project, if you have other glass types that you're already using throughout the project, you can make them the same here. And that is the very basic making of a simple window. So what you want to do once you're finished with your model or your family is you go up to the big R and you do save as, and you save your family somewhere where you can use it on multiple projects. Or perhaps if you're ready to load it right in, you can click load into project and it'll load into, it'll ask you any active Revit projects that you currently have open. It'll ask you if you want to load this family into those. And that's it. That's the making of the most simple family you could probably make, but with a lot of parameters that allow you to adjust this family into many different sizes and many different functions for this window in your project.